Bum, 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 bum. Howdy, happy Monday. You guys, I'm off work today and it's snowing outside here in North Alabama. And I'll be honest, I was just kind of bored and I thought, you know what? They got these new SVS speakers that I've been thinking maybe about making a video about, but I don't really know much about them. Figured maybe this would be a good time to do a quick live stream, maybe talk about these new SVS speakers that were displayed at CES recently, and to talk about some random things and answer any questions you might have. If you want to do a super chat, I would certainly welcome that, but you don't have to. That said, super chats are automatically bumped to the top, so it's easier for me to see those. I don't know how long I'll do this, but probably not too much longer. And I will try to answer any of your questions as I go along. So, DIY audio guy, what's up, man? Hey, man, did you get snow? Yes, sir. It's snowing right now here in North Alabama. And actually, I was on my way home this morning from getting a couple things before it started to come in. And ironically, I went like 30 miles out, and then on the way back home is where I hit a patch of ice and kind of slid out a little bit, just a little bit. And I thought, man, I made it all the way, 30 miles and then back and didn't have any issues until literally the turn before my street, which I thought was kind of funny. So, yo, Casey, what's up? What system am I listening to personally and enjoying these days? So the thing is that I get so many speakers in that I don't have my own setup right now. I used to have my own dedicated home theater setup, which was awesome, but I moved from that house about a little over a year ago when I I went through a divorce and sold that house. The cool thing is the person who bought it wanted to keep the setup in there. So he got the benefits of all of my labor. And I'm in a rental house right now. And frankly, I just haven't had the desire to go through the effort of piecing together my own system because I am constantly getting speakers into review. Right now, I've got the KEF R5 Meta, which I know some of you are going to be pretty excited about. And let's see here. Oh, I don't know. Well, you can't see it behind me. Let me move. Right there. That's the MoFi Source Point 8 that I'm sending back. But I did actually, just a few days ago, I sent an email to the folks at MoFi Distribution and said, hey, how much do you want for these? Because I'm sure you can imagine that in the audio industry space, when reviewers get stuff to review, sometimes they're offered accommodation pricing. When I used to work at a BMX shop, a skate park / BMX shop, and I BMX for years. That was one of the benefits of me working at a BMX shop is I could call the distributors up if I needed a new 3-piece crank or if I needed a new wheel or new tires or whatever. I could call the distributors up myself and get. They might have called it accommodation pricing, but it was basically like employee pricing. And back then with BMX, it was 50% off. I had no idea what the MoFis are going to run me. I was just curious. I say all that to say I've actually considered buying these. If they're reasonably, well, $27.50 is a retail price. I would have no problem paying that. But, if I can get them cheaper, then hey. But if not, then, I'll just keep measuring and playing with other speakers. I do hope to move at some point, and maybe then I'll have a better idea of what I want. The thing right now is just this rental house. I just, the desire for me to have a permanent setup just isn't quite there. But I'm hoping that'll change when I move into a new home. So yeah, that's that. I actually just ordered some March audio amplifiers. Let's see here. I ordered them, but I got them in last week because some of you may know, you may not know that I reviewed the Macintosh MC462 amplifier earlier last year, so 2023, and I did it using the Audio Precision gear that I was loaned from the manufacturer. So it's test measurement devices to allow you to measure electronics. After my loan period was up, I asked them about okay, I'm interested in buying this because I want to test electronics. And I was thinking, honestly, if it was $20K, then maybe I could justify it for my channel and get a 4 to 5 year payoff window, which seems stupid. I know, but whatever. It's a passion. It's a stupid hobby sometimes for me. But they came back, and the two quotes they gave me, one quote was $32,000 and the other quote was $40,000 for measuring 8 channels at a time. So if I wanted to measure an AVR and I wanted to measure all of the channels, then that was going to cost me $40,000 to measure electronics. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to stick to speakers. So here we are. But yeah, the Macintosh is going back. And matter of fact, the freight company is supposed to come today to pick that up. But I'd be surprised if they make it out. But in the meantime, or what I've ordered for now, is this March Audio P501. It's using the Purify 1E blah 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 and module. It's kind of like the bee's knees of Class D. And I know some people were like, "Oh, Class D," but Class D has come a long, long, long way. And there is data that shows that this amplifier has an extremely low noise floor, because that's always been my issue with Class D amplifiers. It's never been necessarily the load, but it's always been the noise floor. It seems like the noise floor of the Class D amplifiers of even 5-10 years ago was just too high. And all you heard was just a constant little system noise. But with the Purify modules and other equivalent like Hypex modules, they've really seemed to solve that issue. So that's what I ordered, the March Audio P501. I got a pair of them because it's a mono block. And for those of you who are curious about the power ratings, here you go. 2 ohm, 950, 4 ohm. I'm going to blow this up. 4 ohm is 500 watts. 8 ohms is 250 watts. And the reason I wanted this one was because I wanted to make sure that I was covered. And I actually reached out to March Audio and I said, what do you recommend? He recommended the stereo amplifier and also recommended this one. He said, if you're going to do a lot of testing, and it seems like you are, then you probably want something that will cover you end to end. So these are what I went with. Shout out to Alan at March Audio. He did give me a good deal on them. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what I paid because frankly, that's none of your business, but I did get a good deal on them. So that's why I chose to go that route. And Alan's results have been published independently on ASR from another person. So that's actually the first place I went to look was, what do the results of this test look like? Is it low noise? Does it deliver the power that it's supposed to? And it checks all the bases. That's why I went with that. And if you're curious, I actually had Alan, good Lord, go ahead and send me these new speakers of his. Because I tested the speakers, the So and Tuva, about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago. And it was the paper cone version of this speaker. And so he went ahead and sent me these to review. They're not mine. And I'm going to send them back when they're done. I'm willing to bet he's probably hoping somebody from the US will be interested enough to buy them so he won't have to pay shipping to Australia back for them, and then probably shipping back to the United States if somebody were to buy them. But be on the lookout for that because that will be coming soon. I've also got something that I'm testing right now that I would love to tell you guys about, but I cannot. So there we go. Anyway, let's see here. Whoa, I've got it loaded, fellas. I don't know if I'm going to catch all of yours. Love your room acoustics question. I'm going to come back to the SBS. Love your room acoustics question. Yeah, so the reason I asked that question, I don't know what I'm doing here. Just basically asked for those of you who don't know. I post on my community page, and let me go find it. And it might just, in case any of you want to go vote, you haven't seen that yet. About, do you have room treatment? And if you do, what do you have? Let's see here. Yeah. No. Okay. Of the 3 options, which best describes the amount of acoustic treatment in your room or rooms? I was just trying to cover all my bases without getting into the minutia. If you want to give details, go ahead. But here you go. None at all, minimal, or more than a couple panels. And so far, I've got 1.4 thousand votes, which is awesome. That's like really good data to have. 62% of people have none at all. And 17% of you have minimal, maybe just a couple panels. The reason I wanted to know that is because when I do these reviews, sometimes I forget my audience. I'll be honest. Sometimes I forget my audience and I just kind of assume that, hey, you guys are like me, you're doing the same thing. I actually don't have any panels in my listening room. And I do that for a reason. But the reason is something that I was trying to verify with that poll question, which was, I assumed that many people don't have acoustic treatment in their room other than just the standard furnishings, a couch, or curtains and things like that. But without me actually asking the question, that number could have changed over the years. So I really just wanted to make sure that I was kind of still on the same track where the majority of viewers have a similar setup to what I'm trying to replicate on my own. Now, when I had a dedicated home theater, I had room treatment in that room, bass traps and wall paneling and things like that. But right now, I don't have any. And some people can say, well, that doesn't make you a good reviewer. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, because here's why. 62% of people don't have any. Over half the people watching this channel, you could probably just ratio it up, don't have any room treatment. And that's very interesting. So the reason that that matters is because a good speaker with good on-axis performance and good off-axis performance, which basically just means that the sound that is coming directly at you from the speaker when it's pointed at your way or off-axis, but it's just like coming toward you first, the first sound, the direct sound, and the reflected sound, the sound bouncing off the walls and coming to your ears. If those things are similar in timbre, then you're going to have a pleasant experience, and you don't necessarily need room treatment. If those things are not similar in timbre, for example, maybe you have a hole in the response off axis where the reflected energy is lower at 2K but higher at 4K, well, then it's probably going to sound bright if you don't have the means to capture some of that bad reflected energy back. So that's why I asked the question, because I want to have a better understanding of what my audience, what their setup is like. Anyway, I do acoustics professionally. That's cool, man. Thoughts on Class D Revolution, like Fozzy versus, frankly, I don't know. I've seen a bunch of their stuff, but I just don't know. So here's a question I'm going to ask you guys right now. I've considered getting it. So I mentioned earlier that I was wanting to get into electronics testing, but it's just too cost prohibitive. It's not something that I can do. The reason that I didn't do it before, and I used to do electronics testing. I mean, you can search I used to post on DIY Mobile Audio. So if you want to search for Aaron H under DIY Mobile Audio, there's a test section in there, and you'll see that I used to review electronics. I used to use Rightmark Audio Analyzer, RMAA, and then I used some other different programs over the years to play around with testing electronics. So it's not like I never wanted to, but what happened was I found more and more to be the case that the only things that I cared about were, does this amplifier make the power that it's supposed to make, and is it low in noise? So my gripe with the state of audio reviews today, and this is something I was wanting to change, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything about it, was that nobody talked about the noise level. Like, cool, you're going to give me a THD plus N graphic that shows, okay, higher noise at very minimal output, lower noise, low distortion, etc. Right? It's dominated by noise on the low output end, and on the medium output end, it's not as much noise, and then the higher output end, it's more distortion. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to pull up a graphic and just show you, because if I talk about it, it probably doesn't serve you much good. Let's see here. Okie dokie. This is THD plus noise. So it's distortion, total harmonic distortion plus noise. And what happens is measured level in watts. Each of these lines, 2 ohm, 4 ohm, 8 ohm. Blow this up for y'all a little bit more. Better? Cool. All right. As you go from low power, 50 milliwatts, very, very low power, to higher power, 500 watts RMS. This is the Macintosh MC462. What the deal is that this noise, or this value down here, this THD plus N, is pretty much just noise, which would be that very low level, like staticky type sound. That's what you would hear. And as you trend toward the higher end, you have less noise, less and less noise. And then all of a sudden, when you hit the maximum output capability of the amplifier, and this curve may change. You may have a knee down here and a flat line and then shoot up. I mean, it can change, but the trend is kind of similar, where when you get to the maximum output, then it's just clipping, and that's just distortion. Okay. My issue, my gripe with electronics reviews is that hardly anybody talks about this. If you've got highly sensitive speakers, or if you're in the near field, within a few feet, I would say, of a speaker that's moderately sensitive, if this noise is high, which in this case, the Macintosh amplifier, it's not, but if it's high, then what you're going to hear is, all right. And that, anytime you hear about somebody talk about blackness in the soundstage, or the soundstage is dark or deep or vast or things like that, in my opinion, those are just subjective terms to elucidate, probably the wrong word, to provide a sense of how low the noise floor is. From experience, I can tell you that when you listen to a system that just has going, it really sucks you out of the whole feeling of, or the whole experience. And then there is no darkness. And then the soundstage subjectively doesn't sound as deep. Things just don't, like, it just doesn't sound as good. The experience just isn't there. And what I wish is that more people would somehow give me some kind of metric for the low end, the very low noise. Like, this is what I was thinking. Okay. So now I'm going to get back on what my thoughts are. And this is where I would appreciate some feedback. If you want to leave them in the comment section below after you watch the video, is I would like to get into electronics testing, but not full bore where I'm testing all of the things. I'm thinking, based on my experience and then based on my budget, I'm sure you guys would rather me spend money on and spend time on testing loudspeakers. But for playing around with electronics, I was thinking I could give you like a subjective thing, not like it sounds this way or it sounds this way, but hey, like, here's a close up of the design. Here's the knobs. Here's the features. Here's how well the features work, like Dirac or Odyssey. Did I run into any issues with the GUI or anything like that? How easy is the setup? Those kind of things. And then I have just a simple oscilloscope method where I can just test for power output at different loads. I've got a bank of resistors that I can check. So I can at least say, yes, at 2 ohms, it does this, 4 ohm, 8 ohm, it does these values. I can do that. And then for noise, what I was thinking was that I would get maybe like a super tweeter or something like that, that has 100 dB sensitivity. So it's super sensitive, because that puts me above the noise floor. Wait, I'm getting to my point. And then what I would do is I would just connect the amplifier to that speaker, put the microphone like that close, some value that's always the same. Maybe it's always going to be 10 millimeters or something like that from the drive unit itself. And then I'm going to test how much noise is there from this little speaker onto here. Now, it's not absolute, but the idea is that over time, with maybe 5 or 10 or whatever, as I continue to do more and more, you can start to see, okay, yeah, this amplifier is noisier than this one. And so, like I said, ultimately, I would really only be able to provide you with my subjective take. Like, this is the GUI, this is a user experience. Excuse me. User experience, GUI, ergonomics, the subjective, the tangibles, right? And then maximum output at different loads and what the noise floor is like. Because again, those are the only two things that matter to me. Now, if you care about all the other stuff, you've got Soundstage Network, you've got Audioholics, you've got Stereophile, you've got ASR. I don't even know. There's probably so many others that do the same things. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like the same really in-depth tests that you would want to see. You've got all those guys to do that for you. I don't really need to get into that. What I want to know when it comes to electronics is, does it do the power, and is it noisy as heck? Is it going to drive me insane if I'm just hearing black level or noise levels from that thing, and it just ruins my user experience? And also, how easy is it to use, and do the functions work, and what are the functions, etc. So that's what I would be interested. If you're interested in me doing something like that, I would be interested in hearing back from you. And if you're not interested, if you really just want the full core data sheet with the report, then let me know that. If I'm wasting my time, let me know. I don't want to get into something that I'm going to wind up not getting any feedback on, or people just aren't going to be that plussed about. So let me know. I would genuinely appreciate that feedback. Okay. Let's see what else I got here. Am I going to get the new SVS Evolution in line in for review? Okay. That's a good talking point. That's actually what I wanted to discuss. So the reason I started this video is because I thought that would be cool to talk about these new speakers. My buddy Chana, let me see if I can find it because I linked it the other day. Techno Dad, Chana. Y'all go to Techno Dad's page, new SVS Ultra Evolution Speaker CES 2024. And sooner or later, this video will start playing. Okay. Watch this video because I've seen a lot of videos so far, and maybe I'm biased because Chana is a friend of mine, but Chana does an incredible to Nick, who is Nick Brown is the marketing guy. I'm sure he has like a better title, but he's kind of the marketing guy for SVS. And it's not a marketing, well, how do I put it? It is a marketing video because that's what these events are for, right? But Chana actually knows what he's talking about in this video, and Nick gives a really great technical breakdown of the purpose of the speaker, the metrics of the speaker, and the spec sheet. But he does a really good job of giving it to you without you feel like you're being sold on something, and I appreciate that personally. And with that said, I'll switch over. What I was saying was, if you go to my YouTube community page, you can see where I just posted my buddy Chana's video that he did from CES based on his interview with Nick Brown at CES. I'm scared to click this link again because I don't know what's going to happen. But go check this video out or just go to Technodad's webpage. You know what? I'm going to play the video. I'm going to try it anyway. As long as I'm up here. I got diamonds in my grill. This is the video that you need to be looking for. New SVS Evolution speakers. Okay. That video does a really good job of covering the technical aspects of the speaker. I think Chana did a really good job, and I recommend you go watch that video because what happens is Nick Brown, who is the marketing guy at SVS, really dives into the specifics of these speakers. So there are a few different lines. So I'm going to go back to this page, okay? We're going to start off with their new towers. Evolution is their new line of speakers. What's up, Chana? Thanks for calling me, buddy. You've got the Pinnacle tower speaker, the Titan tower speaker, and the Evolution tower speaker. If you want to know what is what, again, I suggest you go check out Chana's video. But there is this Ecoustics link. I've already put it in the chat, and I'm going to do it again. And on this Ecoustics link, they kind of break down what's going on. So the large tower speaker has 4 8-inch woofers and dual 5 1/4s. So this guy right here, 8-inch woofer, and then on the back, if you go and look at this other one, you can see that it's a smaller version speaker, but it's kind of the still the same premise. 8-inch woofers on the back. So it's this guy, but on the back. Okay. 5 1/4 inch, 5 1/4 inch. Mid-range, and then tweeter. Let's see what Ecoustics says about the other ones. I mean, it's a good picture. Evolution Titan, so the smaller one, or the middle one, I should say, dual 4 1/4 inch mid-range drivers, quad 6-inch, 6.5 inch bass drivers. So there'll be one down here, one at the top on the back, one at the bottom on the back. And then let's see what they say about this one right here, the smaller one, Evolution Tower, dual 4.5 inch mid woofers, or mid ranges, I should say. And then quad 5 1/4 inch mid bass drivers. These speakers look the job. Let's roll back up here. I want to check the price again because I think you may have missed that when I was trying to talk about it. The biggest one, $5,000 a pair. Middle-sized one, $4,000 a pair. I really suck at this, y'all. The biggest one, $5,000 a pair. Middle one, $4,000 a pair. And the smallest one is $3,000 per pair. Yeah. 8-inch mid bass, 8-inch mid bass, 5 1/4, 5 1/4, 1 inch. And then on the back, you've got more mid bass drivers. So they're just scaled down. Basically what it is. Y'all, I'm not having any luck with this streaming thing today. It's just, it's giving me fits. But I hope that maybe you've got the idea. Okay. So I'm going to recap it one more time because I keep hosing this up and I apologize. The big one, which is, could show me that, the Evolution Pinnacle, the big one, 8-inch, 8-inch, 5 1/4, 5 1/4, 1-inch tweeter, and on the back, 8-inch mid bass, 8-inch mid bass. The middle sized one, according to this website, let's see, go back, be 6.5 inch, 6.5 inch, and then 4.5, 4.5, 1 inch. Is what they said. Yeah. Okay. And then the 2 mid bass on the back. And then on this guy, it's 5-inch, 5-inch, 5-inch on the back, 5-inch on the back bottom, 4.5 inch, 4.5 inch mid range, and then 1-inch tweeter. Basically, a W. For those of you not familiar with this, you've heard of MTM before. Well, now you've got WMTMW. So we got WMTMW. Then you've got the woofers on the back as well. This speaker very much interests me. All of them interest me. If I had to say which one I expected would sound better from just a purely like imaging way of going about it, I would probably assume the Evolution Tower, the smaller one. This dude right here, I would probably assume that he's going to be the better sounding one. And the only reason I say that is because the smaller drivers are a little bit easier to get a more even dispersion angle vertically, but that may not matter so much. And it certainly isn't going to do the bass that the big bad boy with the 8-inch mid bass is going to do. I have already asked to review these. I mean, the day I saw that these speakers were coming out, I sent Nick at SVS an email like immediately. Dude, I'm sure you've already been inundated with a number of emails, but if you get to the point and you are willing to send a pair of whatever, I'll take any of them out to me. I would very much be interested. And I'll be honest with you guys. I could easily see me buying a full 5.1 or 5.2 or whatever multi-channel setup for a home theater or a living room setup with any of these speakers because they look awesome. I mean, they're supposed to have a gloss white too, which you may have seen that. Let me go back to that. Yeah, I'll go back. My nerves just kind of settled down from me messing up the audio. So now I can think a little bit more clearly. Again, I apologize for that. But yeah, this gloss white I think looks really cool. I did hear Nick say in Techno Dad's video that they were going to have a black ash as well. Black ash is pretty much standard for SVS. It's usually black ash and gloss black. And black ash is just like a vinyl wrap. For those of you who have a projector and you're bouncing a lot off a screen and coming back to you, you may want the black ash. That's the one comment that I get a lot is from people who watch the channel and they have home theater setups with the projector. They don't like glossy speakers because there's too much reflection off the speaker and it's distracting to them. So a black ash may make more sense for you. Let's see what else they got. I didn't really talk about their bookshelf speaker or their new center speaker. So this is their new bookshelf speaker. What do they say? A 1-inch diamond coated tweeter, 6.5-inch mid bass driver. I don't know if there's anything on the back of this one or not. Chana, if you're watching. Oh, Chana. Okay. Technical note. Chana said, Nick said it's a black veneer. Okay. Instead of a black ash. My guess is it's probably similar to what they already have, though, if I had to guess. But Chana, does this have a 6.5-inch mid bass on the back? Do you recall? Let's see. Now we got the. Ooh, here's their center channel. This one interests me as well. So it's a 3-way center channel, and that's typically good. Like, you guys know how I feel about MTM for center channels. It's fine if it's just you or you're not sitting too far off axis, but if you're kind of far away and, well, I guess really if you're kind of close and you're sitting like in a secondary chair off to the side, you're probably within like 20 to 30 degrees, and the intelligibility starts to fall off around that region for most MTM designs. And because of that, I'm not a fan of MTM center channels. Again, if you're sitting, it's just you and you're sitting on axis, then maybe not as big of a deal. But if you have multiple row seating, then you really do need to buy a 3-way center channel, either a coaxial design or something like this is what I would recommend, where you have the woofers on the side, a tweeter, and a mid-range dedicated to it. And if you don't know why, just search. I have a video called Why Center Channel Speakers Suck. And I explain kind of the technical merits of a three-way design versus an MTM where you have a woofer, a tweeter, and another woofer on the side. Okay. So Chana answered my question. I don't think so. He didn't mention anything on the back of the bookshelf. So that's good to know. Thanks, Chana. Oh, about the gloss, not only reflection, but the dust scratches is just a bad idea. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. And is there anything else that I'm missing? Evolution Nano. What the heck is that? 5.25 inch. Oh, so it's just a smaller version. Yeah, it's just a smaller version of that bookshelf speaker, of the 6.5 inch bookshelf. And then they got their elevation speakers, which are 5.25 inch to 1 inch. Let's go back to their tower speakers before I leave, though. You notice how these are curved? So the idea is that the drivers are physically time aligned all together. So you have one cohesive wavefront. Because the thing is, with most bookshelf speakers or tower speakers with their flat baffle, is that most likely there's going to be some kind of time delay offset between the tweeter and the mid woofer. And whether or not that's a problem, you know, I'm kind of like, ideally, I want everything time aligned. But with these speakers, the idea is that they are physically time aligned because the cabinet is kind of bit. How do I do this? Like this, like in like that, kind of curved. It's almost like it kind of reminds me of a constant beam width transducer array, a CBT array. I know it's not the same before anybody starts saying, oh, like I know it's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of that. Well, no, I need a curved array. Like Don Keel's curved array. Where is that? Oh, there we go. Constant beam width transducer. It kind of reminds me of this. Let me see if they got a picture in here. Hey, there we go. You actually could buy this kit from Parts Express. I don't know if you still can. Don Keel is the man. That dude is just like on an. You know what? I'm gonna write his name down. Maybe I can reach out to him and possibly have him join me on the channel and explain this design, because that's just dope. The idea with this design is not the same as this. It's not the same at all. I don't want anybody to think that they are. I'm just saying they remind me of that. I just don't know though, like what happens when you're sitting with your ears up here, you know, like, are you still time aligned? I don't think so, because it's all about relationships. And I just don't know that when you sit above that angle, you know. And then the other thing that really matters is, what's the crossover? Like, great if it's time aligned, but if the crossover, this is just generic, I'm not saying that this speaker has any issues. Just want to be clear. If the crossover isn't designed well, like if the crossover is basically out of phase, then who cares what the time alignment is like, right? So I say that to caution people to not think that time alignment trumps crossover. I mean, it all should work cohesively together. Let's see. Nightjar, did you get the BMR HT Philharmonic Towers to review? No, I am not reviewing those speakers. I'm actually just going to do some testing for Dennis on those. But my deal is that if I do testing for you, then I'm not reviewing the speaker. So I only review things that I can publish, if that makes sense. Like if I'm helping you out with some measurements and I'm not publishing them myself, then I'm not reviewing it. If you slip me a 20 to help you get some basic measurements, I'm not reviewing it. I don't commingle money with reviews at all. I've been offered many times, hey, I'll pay you whatever if you will do this test for me or do this review for me. I'm like, heck no, because as soon as you do it once, then everybody says, oh, you did this, and then your integrity is shot. So it literally is not worth it. I have a day job. This is not my day job. This is my hobby. It does generate income on the side, which I'm very grateful for. I bust my ass for this. So listen, there's no harm in earning money for something you love doing. And yeah, as long as I'm just honest with you guys, I'm good with that. But no, I will not be reviewing those particular speakers. Have you done much near field listening? What would you recommend from what have you heard late night near field listening? So let's define near field. So when I talk about near field, I'm talking within like a meter or so. And it would depend. Are you trying to listen at louder levels? Kali makes great stuff. I would probably just stop at Kali for near field. Genelec is another great brand for near field listening. So if you're looking for near field speakers, Kali Audio is a great brand. They have speakers that are $400 per pair up to maybe $800 per pair, depending on what you're getting. And then they've got some other stuff. They've got a subwoofer for that. Genelec, same thing, man. So yes, I do near field listening when I edit my videos. I've got my Mac that I edit my videos on, and then I've got my computer that I listen to just streaming music off of whenever I'm doing whatever else I'm doing. Okay, let me roll up to the top here. I may have missed somebody. What are your thoughts on monocoustic speakers such as Supermon Mini or the Platamon? A lot of reviewers said that it really punches above their prices bracket. All right, my take on that, let me show you for those of you who aren't aware of on acoustics. I hesitate to say too much about any speaker that I haven't listened to myself, but when I look at a design and it looks funky, like, let's see, Supermon. All right. Do they have any better pictures? Guys, what? That's it? See how deep this... Okay. What? Really? Okay. See how deep this little notch is for their what they would call their wave guide, right? That's terrible. That's just a diffraction nightmare. And I've actually seen the measurements for it, so I'm not thinking I know what I'm talking about. I 100% know what I'm talking about. This is a diffraction nightmare. I don't get it. I'll leave it at that. I just don't get it. And I know that people are like, oh, it's great. Okay, cool. Now, the fact that it's made out of like aluminum and stuff, that's cool. Hey, maybe it doesn't resonate, but I bet the directivity is pretty poor on it too. Excited for the R5 Meta review. I almost bought a set this weekend. Yep. I'd say if you're on the fence and you're kind of waiting for objective data, then get it. There's a couple things that I was a little bit surprised about it, but then I went back and looked at the R5 that I reviewed, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, they kind of have, it's the bass, really. And it's that extended bass shelf thing that they have going on. And I didn't expect that per se with this new speaker, but they have it with the R3 Meta. They had it with the R5. So it's really not a surprise. It's a good speaker overall. And it just looks good too. No. What do I think about the Prime series? Think about getting the Prime Towers next time they go on sale for about $900 a pair. I have the Prime Center now and enjoy it. I think the Prime speakers are good. The only thing is that they're old design. And then actually Nick said it in his discussion with Chana that these new Evolution speakers that they've got coming out with, they've had the same speakers for like 12 years. So the Prime and the Ultra have been around for a long time. And I really like what Nick said. He specifically said that, well, I'm going to paraphrase, but basically it was that they built these new speakers to design them with a better understanding of acoustics, essentially. And that gives me hope that, because the Prime and the Ultras weren't bad, they just weren't great, but they were pretty good. The EQ, they take well to it, but on their own natively, I think they were just too bright for me. I'm really excited to see what they do with these Evolution speakers. And I kind of wonder if they'll go for like a little bit of a boosted top end to kind of keep that sound a little bit. It's not Klipsch boosted, it's not Martin Logan boosted, but it's a little bit boosted, at least in room, when you consider the off-axis versus on-axis response. But yeah, I'm excited to see those speakers. But yeah, if you're interested in those, I would consider getting them, man. We got an AP at my job recently. I think it was only like 8K. So they make different audio precision units. It's like the SYS 2822, something like that. Older ones, but I'm stupid. That's gonna become a meme. When it comes to getting stuff, when I spend my hard-earned money on something, I typically want to go ahead and just maximize my ROI, my return on the investment. Sometimes that means I run over budget. I'm sure you guys know how it is. Maybe you go into Best Buy and you're looking at TVs and you go in with $500. You're like, I just need a basic TV for my office or my kids' room or whatever. And then you wind up leaving with an $800 or $1,000 television. And you're like, why did I do this? But you're thinking, well, if I'm gonna spend the money, I'm gonna spend it once, right? What is that phrase? I hear Chana use it a lot too, and I've heard other friends use it. But what, buy once, cry once. Better to buy something good one time than to buy something bad multiple times and it wind up costing you in the long run. So with that said, the reason that I was specifically looking at the higher end APs is because I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it out the gate. I'm going to come swinging. But then I just thought, after I got those quotes, 32,000 and 40,000, I thought, I don't think so. No, I'm good. I don't think so. I can DIY a setup to measure these things, but frankly, I like the automation capability of an audio precision unit. The fact that it takes such high voltage inputs and I don't have to worry about building resistor ladders and resistor networks and things like that. It's just easier, but it just didn't make sense for me. And I don't know if I'll still go that route or not. They do have a new audio precision. I want to say is it the 1516 or something, ends in 16. I can't remember what they're 5816 maybe. That's cheaper. It's like $6,000, I think. And I considered that, but again, it's just the return on investment for me for something like that for this channel. I don't make enough money. I think I make $50 a video on average. I have Patreon, which certainly helps. Affiliate links help a lot as well. But I literally could go take a part-time job at Lowe's, working a couple days a week, and make easily more money than I make doing this. And I would get health insurance. So yeah, this channel doesn't make enough for me to pay for something like that right now. Oh, Fox Gaming 76. What's up? Hey, Aaron, I'm curious. Are you planning to measure something like the drop BMRs one day? I remember you did a measurement of BMR driver a while back, so I'm curious how it does with a cabinet. Somebody else asked me about that, and I don't specifically remember why I wasn't interested, but I probably just won't. I don't know. It's not really something that I'm asked about that often. Do I have any experience with Crite speakers and how do they sound compared to Klipsch? I do not have any experience with Krites speakers. I'm sorry, man. I cannot tell you. Solid Amps. Been wondering about the March Audio offerings. Interested in your impression of them after you get them going. Wonderful job with your channel. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Wouldn't have a treated room be a better reference point than a specific untreated room? Okay, so that's something that if you have a bad speaker, sure. If you have a room that is just bare walls, bare floor, no carpet, sure, it'll cut down the echo. But again, if you pay attention to that poll, 62% of people have no treatment in their room, and almost 20% of people just have the bare minimum, like a couple panels or something. A bad speaker in a treated room is still going to be a bad speaker. And I'm more interested in listening to these speakers the way that the majority of my viewers are also listening to them. But I also have the data for that too. So if I hear something that doesn't sound right, it doesn't match the data, okay, just trust the data, you know. A good speaker with acoustic treatment is still going to sound like a good speaker. A bad speaker with acoustic treatment can actually sound worse because it depends on what is bad about the speaker. What frequency range is bad about the speaker? What is the dispersion of the speaker? So it's very, very, very true that acoustic treatment can actually make the response, the sound, worse than no acoustic treatment. That's true. And I can point to a lot of different speakers that would behave poorly with the wrong acoustic treatment. So for example, let's say that I have acoustic treatment that's 2-inch thick panels because somebody told me I needed to. And let's say that captures the reflections off axis above 10 kilohertz. And okay, cool. But the speaker's problem is 4 to 6 kilohertz. It's got really poor off axis response there. That panel's not doing anything for 4 to 6 kilohertz. And then I'm left with more attenuated upper high frequency. So now I have taken a bad speaker And I've made it sound even worse in my room because I didn't have the correct acoustic treatment. So two speaker are getting me excited. Sonus Faber Lumina 2 Amateur and two Focal new. So the Lumina 2 Amateur, I'd be curious if it sounds better than the Lumina 2, because the Lumina 2 to me is just too bright. They've got like the top end goes and just shoots up, and I'm like, why? Why'd you do that? Anyway. If you base your subjective reviews on listening in an untreated room, doesn't that favor speakers that focus on smoother predicted response than speakers with smoother on-axis response? It depends on how far away you are, but I just kind of talked about some of that as well. But there's also the fact that you can have a room. All right, so basically you start off with near field. Let's say you got one extreme is near field. That's basically only the on-axis response. Now you move out away from the speaker and you've got more reflections. Now you've got more sound, or the sound is more similar to the estimated in-room response. But now you've got a huge room and you're still at the same distance of like 10 or 12 feet. Doesn't matter. The reflecting walls are way away. Well, those are so far delayed, like it doesn't even matter. You're still predominantly listening to the direct sound at that point. It's kind of the equivalent of saying that you're listening in a room with walls, a typical room, let's say like 15 by 15 feet or something like that, walls, maybe 8-foot ceilings, 9-foot ceilings, whatever. And then all of a sudden you just say, all right, side walls, go away. Because the other end of things, so like the room is so large that you don't have side walls anymore. And then that reflected energy isn't there, and the estimated inner response kind of falls off, and now you're left with more of the on-axis response. So when I talk about my reviews, and the reason I purposely put the line there and put the notes in my reviews about what I heard in my listening position, it's based on that, because it's a standard room, about 17 by 17, I think. I'm going to measure it again one of these days. I could put up acoustic paneling, but then the other thing is, okay, well, 20% of the people who watch my channel have acoustic paneling, and now I'm going to potentially rate a poor speaker even worse than it already was because I'm absorbing the wrong thing. I'm not going to put up different size panels for a particular speaker, because I can guarantee you that there's less than 1% of audio people in the world who are doing that. And they're probably the only ones who are doing that are people who have hired acousticians to come in and do the work for them, realistically. So that's kind of my take on it. How much amplifier power do I need for side surrounds and heights? How loud do they really get? Thinking about using the mono price concentric satellites as surrounds as an AVR enough? Probably. The easiest thing to do is just to go online. There's a Max SPL calculator that I often use. And is this it? Yeah, this is it. I'll show you. And you go just down here and you say amp speaker sensitivity. We'll just say 85 dB, 1 watt per meter. 8 ohm speaker, that's probably typical for a bookshelf. Amplifier power, let's just say 75 watts, distance of 10 feet, number of speakers. If it's a multi-channel and they're all the same, let's just say 5. Well, no, let's go back to 2, just for the heck of it. Away from walls, sure. Near a wall, we'll do near a wall. That's typical. Calculate 100 dB SPL for 2 speakers. Now, if you have 5 and they're all playing the exact same sound at the same time, which they're not, then 104 dB. If it's just the center channel doing most of the dialogue, then 97 decibels at 75 watts. That's probably adequate. If you want to talk about dynamic range, then let's say that you're listening typically at 80 decibels, and you've got up to 97 decibels with this power at this distance for this speaker sensitivity, then that's about 17 decibels of dynamic range. And that's probably about all that speaker is going to be capable of anyway, unless you're rocking it with a subwoofer at the correct place, 80 hertz or 100 hertz, depending on how big the speaker is, and that there is no other significant compression from the crossover components or poor crossover design. So, if you're shooting between 50 and 100 from most rooms, you're probably going to be okay. I always say buy more than you need if you can afford it. Okay. You have your JBL Max 2, JL Max as well. It's no AP, but can do quite a bit of FFT. Yes, sir. It absolutely can. And I have considered that. I've had conversations with the engineer who designed it about that. And it's quite capable. So, yes, thanks for the reminder. I forgot about that. Do you have the front stage hooked up to an amp? Oh, that wasn't directed toward me. Sorry. There's also the APX 515 that can do much cheaper than higher end models, starts around 7K. This might be the one I was talking about. I was thinking it was a 516, but that might be it. And I did actually reach out to AP to see if they have like some kind of loaner system or like a rental system or something. You know, I could see justifying it for some, like if I could do it a little bit at a time, but I just can't. I can't afford it. I'll just put it that way. You should definitely do electronics as well. Thank you. Let's see here. Stick to speakers, in my opinion, a lot more testing. Yeah. Matthias, what's up, man? Dude, you support me so much and I appreciate that. Stick to speakers, in my opinion, a lot more interesting. You know, I get that. Like, it's probably more interesting to you guys, but I will be honest. When you test as many speakers as I do, at some point you're just like, oh, I want something else to break up the monotony. Now, if I got into electronics, it wouldn't be all the time because uh, it's more of a pain for me to test electronics than it is for speakers. I've already got the setup, I've got the MATLAB scripts, I got a process, and I've got it down. I mean, I can test speakers pretty easily without having to break out a bunch of stuff and put things away and do all that kind of stuff, which is that's the pain when it comes to electronics testing is getting out the stuff, trying to remember what I was doing before, all that. But it would be nice to do every once in a while, you know, like the NAD 3050 LE. I thought about seeing if I could get a review sample of that and play around with that and check it out. But, you know, like I said, just maybe something to do every now and again. All right, I'm going to blast all the way down here. Holy moly. I think I missed a super chat up here somewhere. Let me go back. $1.99 from Ronnie F. Thank you, sir. Spins of OG SBS Ultra Center and Prime Pinnacle Towers. You know, I think I might have the Ultra Center. Let me check. I may not, but I might. Ultra? Ah, I do not. I thought I did. I got the Ultra bookshelf. I must just have the Prime. Okay, I will write that down as well. Kill SVS. I'd actually be curious about the Prime Tower myself. I enjoy testing these tower speakers. I'm only limited, or I'm limited to like maybe like 44 inches, 43 inches, somewhere around there. And it's just me. And the clippable stand is about 5 foot off the ground. So, you know, I'm testing this KEF R5 that's 42 inches and weighs 50 something pounds, which is not that bad. But, you know, when you're trying not to like get your fingers all over it and you're trying to balance it and then you got to like lift it up and sit it on the stand, it's just like, ugh. So when you get into heavier speakers, I think the heaviest one I've lifted up there so far by myself is like 70 pounds. You know, 70 pounds deadlift. Yeah, that's whatever. 70 pounds lifting it up 5 feet on a platform while holding it and trying to balance it in, you know, two hands. That's a different story. So I am somewhat limited right now. My my current dream would be to, at some point, move out where I have some land and where I could build a workshop and have 14-foot ceilings and have a hoist and all that kind of stuff, electronic, where I could roll a speaker in, set it on a platform, and lift it up and move it over, and set it down top of the clipple, and then unhook it and then move the hoist out of the way, and then I'm done. Like that's what I want to do because then I could test big boy stuff. But I also have to consider my back. I had an epidural in September or October. I've already had surgery in 2007. You know, like I've really got to be smart about some of the things that I take on, but my passion sometimes exceeds my brain. It's kind of like, you know, your mouth writing a check that your butt can't cash. Except my brain writes a check that my back can't cash. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate the super chat, dude. That's a lot. That's awesome, dude. I for real appreciate that. I may try to order a pizza here in a little bit before the snow sets in and eat off of that for a couple days. Ronnie F, love your work. Just wanted to say it would be awesome to have spins of the older speakers too. I know a lot of people would benefit from having that data. Maybe you could get more clicks by comparing. You probably finished that up too. Comparing Yeah. To new speakers. Yes. I'm gonna leave this up here for a second. Yeah, dude, I have no problem doing that. But the only thing is that when testing older speakers, you have to be mindful of breakdown of parts. I mean, caps can bleed out over time, but that's not really what I'm worried about. I'm worried about potential dry rotting. And these are things that you should probably be able to see by looking at the speaker. But I do worry just about an issue with the speaker and me testing the speaker. And maybe it's not really indicative of the performance of the speaker in its heyday. So if I test a design that's or a speaker that's from 1982 or 1990, I mean, gosh, 1990 is that's 34 years ago now. 1990 is 34 years ago. That's crazy to me. I'm getting old. But yeah, I just worry about that. So that's kind of why I don't really want to test older designs, is because there are speakers that I've seen tested elsewhere that are old, and it's clear that they're old. And the last manufacturer date was 1980, and the performance is terrible. And I think, well, is that actually indicative of the speaker at the time? Or is that just the speaker today because maybe it's broken down, or maybe the spider has worn, maybe the spider sagged? I mean, that's another thing too. You got to think about how you store speakers. It is true. I've talked to engineers about this. You got a speaker with a spider on it. Do I have a speaker around here? I do not. I do not have a speaker around here. Why do I not have a speaker around here? All right. Anyway, you've got a speaker. Let's say it's facing out, right? There's the cone, and here's the magnet, cone, magnet, and then you got the spider, and it goes around, and the spider kind of keeps the voice coil centered along with the magnets, right? So it keeps the voice coil centered. But that spider, if the speaker sits like this for a long time, gravity can have an effect. I'm not saying it's major, and I'm not saying in a year your speakers are all going to fail. It's not to that degree, but it is true because, again, I've talked to engineers who design loudspeaker drive units that if a speaker just sits for a long time and it's not really used, then that spider over time can start to sag. If you put them in storage and you don't touch them for years, the spider can start to sag. So I worry about potentially getting a speaker in that is just not really good. And then I've tested it and I've said these things about it, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, when I heard it, it didn't sound that bad. I don't really understand. Oh, well, the data must not mean anything, or maybe my hearing is what I thought it was, or just any vast number of what ifs." And the real problem was that I tested a bad speaker, right? That's my responsibility, and I don't want to do that. So I hesitate to test old speakers, but I still do welcome it sometimes. So it's going to be kind of a case by case basis, I think. Let's see here. No. Hey, $10 super chat from DIY Hi-Fi. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That will pretty much cover my pizza today. Thank you. Hey, Aaron, any experience with the CV Stroker from back in the day, doing a build with their new version? Thoughts on the technology? Thanks. I do not have any experience with the CV Stroker. They got a new version? Let's see. What's funny is I've actually thought about getting some of their new loudspeakers, just playing around with them. But somebody would have to send them to me, or I would have to buy them and return them. And I don't like buying and returning stuff because I just don't like that. I have my own personal issues with doing that. Not saying I've never done it, just saying I don't like doing it. So I'm looking at the CV Stroker on this website, Sonic Electronics. Looks like it's a new design because it's current, up to date. Accordion surround, 2400 double spiders. Klippel DA motor, optimized motor and suspension symmetry, which implies then that the speakers should have low distortion. Cerwin Vega. Let's see if they talk about that. 18. Do they actually talk about that though? I've got a 2 gig hardline connected internet service, 2 gig up and down, and I've tested it, and this page still took that long to load. I know I'm streaming, but still. Dimensions, specifications. Detinted adjustable voice coil X-Max for control, tuning 15%, 5 degree. What? That's crazy. What do they say their X-Max is in inches? That's got to be one way. 24 inch, one. Okay, this is the most ridiculous spec. Xmax inch millimeters. You're telling me this speaker has 24 inches of Xmax? I think that's supposed to be millimeters, guys. Y'all might want to update your website. But 24 millimeters is a full inch, so roughly that's pretty dang good. So unfortunately, I don't know anything about that particular speaker, but I do like the fact that they say that it's Klipple optimized, which then implies to me that the voice coil is well centered. Hopefully, they've got shorting rings in this to lower upper frequency distortion, not just bass distortion, but upper frequency distortion, because that can carry depending on where your crossover is. But if it's Klipple optimized, cool. I would email them and ask them for the test, though. And specifically, what you want is, let me pull up my website so you know what to ask them. Drive units, purify. Okay, that'll work. Who was that guy? Tell them you want the Klipple LSI results. You want the displacement limits, and you can reference my page. Say, do you have this table? And you need to know what the limits are. For subwoofer, it's going to be different. I think it's 70% BL and 50% CMS. And then what you'll wind up with is something that looks like this. Again, you can even send this directly to them, but you want to know what the force factor is over excursion. So this is saying that at rest at 0 millimeters, so the speaker cone completely at rest, what's the excursion, or what's the motor force look like? How does it taper off? And then when it hits some percentage of this, that will define what the Xmax capability is. Same thing with their stiffness of suspension and then the electrical inductance. You want to know that this speaker's suspension was off by about 4 millimeters or so, which is kind of surprising, but it may have been an intentional design aspect as well. But ask for that, email Cerwin Vega and say, look, you're advertising Klipple stuff, so I'd like to see that Klipple data. See if they give it to you. I'd be curious, and if they do, let me know here. Just reply back in the comment section. Will I be reviewing the Sonus Fiber Illumina 2 Amateur Focal Evo X? Probably not. There's a possibility, but I mean, not anytime soon. You need to get some MBL stuff to review. Man, I've tried. I actually had a gentleman who was on this channel before, and I don't know if he still has access to MBL, but I've tried, so I'm hoping maybe one day. Let's see here. When's the A10 review coming? The Bacart A10, I don't know. I actually got an email from Bacart last week, and they said that I'm still on the docket. They just got to get a pair in to send me. That KEF base shelf was always a con for me, so the KEF base shelf, this is what you're talking about for people who don't know. Let me go find R3. No. The base shelf is, let me do this actually. Where'd it go? There we go. Base shelf. This guy right here. What is going on? Most speakers will kind of be flat through here. They'll start to roll off here or whatever. With this particular speaker, it's ported, but it's ported at a lower frequency than most ported speakers would typically be relative to that speaker. And what I mean there is that the tuning frequency of this port is a little bit lower. So what happens is it starts to roll off, but then it has a little bit of an uptick, right? Rather than the ported tuning right here, or the ported frequency would be right here, and then it would roll off from right here on down. And the idea here is that you can put it next to a wall or closer to a wall without having boomy boosted bass. That is a con for those of you who are in a smaller room who maybe don't have the ability to bring a speaker out, 3 feet in the room. A lot of people don't. In my current living room, the heck no, I don't. So if you want to put a speaker next to a wall, then you need some sort of tuning like that, or you need the bass to be rolled off sooner, or you need a crossover in a subwoofer or equalization. You need something to combat the additional boominess of the speaker being placed very close to a wall. That boominess can help. Let's say you have a room mode, but that positioning of the speaker kind of helps to fill in that room mode. That's cool. But it's all kind of a roll of the dice unless you really know your room and you know the speaker that you're putting in it. And when I see data like that, normally I would be like, oh, that's terrible. But what I've learned is that there's a purpose for it. So, but I hear you, man. I mean, if that's not your kind of setup, then and you know what it is too. That's a cool thing. $10 super chat from Steve Nichols. What's up, man? I appreciate that. I designed car audio subwoofers for a long time ago. Dr. Crankiston. Dr. Crankiston. I'm curious if you could share an update of your car audio system. Thanks for the awesome content. So yeah, right now I'm driving a Tesla. I got that about a year ago. I work about 30 miles from home, and gas was just killing me, man. Especially when it was like $3.50 a gallon. It's like, gosh. So Teslas went on sale last January, and I'd been wanting one for a long time. You guys know I just went through a divorce around that time, and I thought, you know what? I sold the house in the divorce. I'm going to do something stupid. I'm going to buy a Tesla. So I bought myself a Tesla, and I love that car. I had it for a while, and I was like, the tonality in it was really good, but it just, I wanted more. So I took it to my buddy's shop up in Chattanooga. I'm sorry, Knoxville. I was just in Chattanooga last night, up in Knoxville, and it's the Sound Factory in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they did a custom install for me. It looks dope. Right now, I'm running an 18-inch subwoofer in the very back. It's infinitely baffled into the trunk. So they basically took out the spare tire well area. Doesn't come with a spare tire. This car doesn't. But they took out that area, and they mounted the subwoofer into the trunk floor, and it breathes externally outside of the car. So there's no enclosure for the subwoofer. Those are dope. I've got 6 Morel amplifiers driving the front stage, which is a 3-way. And then I have a center channel speaker in case I ever want to futz around with that. Helix DSP, which is what I use to do all my crossovers, time alignment, EQ, level matching, those kind of things. The 3-way front stage is all Morel. So it's a Morel 9-inch mid-bass driver in the doors, practically factory fit thanks to those guys. They made an adapter, put in there. It's fine. 3-inch mid-range, and then the Piccolo, I think it's a 1-inch dome tweeter in the cell panel. So the mid-ranges and the center channel are all up in the dash. And it sounds awesome. I still need to tune it though. So I tuned a lot on it. Well, I won't say a lot on it. I tuned a fair bit on it when I first got it back from the shop, and kind of got it to, mostly where I felt good with it. But there's a couple things that I know need fixing. Like I got a couple resonances in the back that I've got to fix, like rattles. And then I've got a 120 to 150 hertz bloom up front where it just goes and just lights up with certain vocals, and it drives me nuts. But the laptop that I use to tune the DSP that's in my car is the same laptop that I use for all my Klippel testing. And I've been testing a lot, as you all know, and I just haven't had the desire to disconnect that laptop, stop my testing, and then go out and tune the car. But I will at some point. That's where I'm at with the car audio system, and I thank you for asking, and I thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. Ron, what's up, man? Howdy, just stopping by to say hello. Appreciate you, your channel, and reviews. Now do us all a favor and stop making up words. 1999 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. So the thing is that I don't really make them up. I'm going to teach you all. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. I don't know why I got that stuck in my head. Most of the words that I make up are just, it's not really made up. They're just synonyms for other words. So if you synonym, let's see, tight, synonym. Okay. So when you hear me talk, about, I'll show you. When I say, man, this speaker has compact bass. This speaker has dense bass, hard bass, unyielding bass. Now you know. Let's see. Airy? Is there an airy? Oh, yes. All right. When you hear me say, I got full effect right here. Man, this tweeter has well ventilated upper high frequency. Oh, it's just so awesome. It's so spacious, uncrowded, uncluttered, and it's light, and it's well lit. Wait. Oh, and then I say, gosh, this tweeter, Some would call it airy, but I call it nonchalant. I call it casual, breezy, unthinking, unworried tweeter. It's the best tweet you've ever heard. That's what I do. It's synonyms, guys. That's how I create these reviews. I really should do this. That's great. I love it. Ron, I appreciate the super chat, buddy. I hope to meet you someday, man. Maybe if you go to Expona, maybe I can see you there because I'm planning on going. If anybody's planning on going to Expona, please let me know, and I will love to meet up with you. Serwin Vega, LA 165 or only 265. They would be great to measure. Serwin Vega. I'm still psyched on the synonym idea. I'm definitely making a video about this at some point. I'm going to write this down. See, this is my thing. And for those who don't know, this is what I do. I do this at work because I'm like, my brain is like all the time. So when I think of something, I will either put it in my notes on my phone. Check out my daughter. Cutest kid ever. Cutest kid ever. When I think of random stuff, I'll write it down either in notes on my phone or I got like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 sticky notes laid out across my desk right now. And I've been taking other notes. So I've got Don Kill and SBS Prime Tower. I'm about to make 7. So now it's going to be my 8 sticky note. LA 165. Okay. LA 165. Serwin Vega. Oh, sorry. And audio file terms. Audio file synonyms. That way I'll remember. How do I spell synonyms? I got it right. All right. I'll make a video about that. So the LA 165. Really? Internet? Serwin Vega. I think my keyboard just died. No. Okay. Well, I can't look right now. Serwin Vega, LA 165. 265. Here's the deal. If I'm cool with this, if somebody has something that they want to see reviewed that's sold by Crutchfield or Best Buy or Amazon or whatever, and you're like, Aaron, will you test this for me if I have it shipped to you? Yes, I absolutely will. Send it to me. I will make it a priority because you have a time window that you've got to get it returned in. Have it drop shipped to my house and I will test it. I don't want to buy the speaker and review it and send it back because I know that I'm sending it back. But if there's a chance and if you're curious about the performance and you're thinking if it's good and you're going to keep it, then send it my way. Contact me, hardisj@gmail.com. Email me and say, hey, I'm thinking about ordering the speaker, and then I will give you my address. You can have them ship it to me. I will test it. I will review it, and then I'll send you the data, and you can see what you think. I'll publish the data, and if you don't want it, I'll send it back. If you do want it, I'll send it on your way, and we can figure out the shipping cost to get it sent on your way. Because most of these people offer free shipping to and from, but if you send it to me, then I'm going to send it back to you. That's what Patreon's for. That's what affiliate links are for me. That helps me cover those kind of costs. So again, if you want to have something drop shipped to me, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. Okay. $5 super chat from Jay Jacady. Contribution to Aaron's Pizza Fund. Pod till we die. Thanks for all that you do. It is much appreciated. Oh, I appreciate you. And I'm literally getting a cramp in my hammy right now. That's from my sciatica, y'all. YouTube's tough on me. No, I appreciate that, man. That definitely will help. I might even buy myself a Coke today. Listen, I try to eat healthy. I try. People who know me probably know that I don't. I love chocolate muffins. I love pizza and Coke. If I could live off of that, and protein drinks. I drink a lot of protein drinks because I try to get my protein in, right? Like I'm not like trying to be buff guy here, but I try to get my protein in. So if I could just live off of that, I probably would. But my doctors say I got high cholesterol, got high metabolism. He say I got a high cholesterol. I need to watch it. Genetic, hereditary. So I got to watch that. But thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate that. Hiko Aurora 3. Maybe the Hiko Tower speakers that I was looking at getting to review, I think are just a little bit too tall for where I'm at right now. So when I move houses, I'll have a little bit more room to do that kind of testing in. Okay. $7 super chat from BG. Thanks for all your hard work you're doing. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, sir. Man, with the Klippel, you really need to make a few of your own speakers to tweak them to what you like. You can have someone else make the box and you choose the drivers. Yeah, I've talked about this a few times. That's just not something I'm interested in doing right now. Maybe one day, but just not right now. Hello from Denmark. Hope you all are doing great. Well, I think we are, and I hope that you are too, man. Hey, Aaron, sad I joined late, but did you hear any further from Tommen? What do you think of the situation? The situation. You talking about that Mike dude? The situation? Mike from Jersey Shore? Anyway. If anybody gets that, I'd be curious. Let me know. So the situation that you're talking about, for those who don't know, I tested their Tommen Swiss Sonic A6. Let's see here. I'm just going to go find it real fast. A Swiss Sonic A306. Show on stream. This speaker. Really good speaker. Really good performance. Reasonable price. It's an overseas company. So if you try to get it here, you're going to pay like an extra $120 in shipping. But if that's okay with you, that's fine. Even with that additional shipping, it's still a really good speaker. I reviewed that speaker and it was great. And then apparently they sold out. And apparently the powers that be had already decided they were just going to discontinue the speaker. So it's like I reviewed it for basically no reason. And that's why I'm not making a video for the A305 that I tested, which is a good speaker, and the A203 Bluetooth. I don't even think I'm going to bother testing that speaker. It sucks that they discontinued it. Rumor is that they might try to recontinue them. What's the word I'm looking for here? Re-inventory them, restock them? I don't know. Try to get more of them. And if so, that's great. But I don't take any personal offense to it. The gentleman who sent them to me was super cool. Obviously, it wasn't his call to have them canceled. And if he had known, he probably wouldn't have sent them to me anyway. So there's no hard feelings about it. It's just something that's unfortunate. And, you know, I could have more problems than that. So if that's the only problem in life that I've got, do I have any interest to test custom-made speakers according to a man who made them? Could have amazing results, low distortion. Probably not right now. Oh, you would be sad to know how many stranded in Denmark freezing in their Teslas the last few days. Yeah, well, I'm not going anywhere unless I can drive in it. So, yeah. And I can't drive. Here in Alabama, we don't drive in the snow, man. We're just not made for it. In those cases, why not try using the bass shelf on the EQ? Because you're going to increase the distortion and you're probably going to cause the speaker to bottom out pretty easily. Factory Tesla system is pretty good. They hired a lot of ex-Harman guys when the Samsung acquisition went through. I heard that they hired a lot of B&O guys, Bang & Olufsen guys. Bang & Olufsen. Now, there's a brand that I want. Oh, you stupid keyboard. Give me a second. No. Nope, not that one. That one. I'm going to go wired for a minute. If I can. I don't even think I have any more plugs on this thing. Really, bro? Or should I say, really, bruh? Wired cable. Okay, maybe this will work. Bang & Olufsen. Work with me. All right. B&O makes some really cool speakers, and I'd like to test them. I guess that's that. This keyboard. I'd drop kick it if I could, but I'd probably just hurt myself in the process. I'm sad. Oh, well. I won't be typing anything else today. Not until I replace the batteries. Is that Ron? Yes, it was Ron. Have you considered getting more tiny cube speakers like Bose Jewels or Cambridge Audio, like these coax mono price? Maybe interesting for H. I've considered it, but probably just not right now. There's other things that I'm more interested in. Let's see here. I'm about to have to split, so I'm gonna make sure I didn't catch or miss super chat. I saw somebody mention Xpona, but now I can't find it. Oh, me. Sorry. Let me find. Okay. Any more plans on reviewing more center speakers? Maybe. Seems like there was a couple that I was interested in, but I'll be honest, it's been hard for me lately to get speakers from manufacturers to review. I don't want to name names, but there's a distributor who loaned me a pair of speakers, and I published the review, and the review wasn't good, and they apparently kind of got chewed by the manufacturer. And then I reviewed another pair of speakers that they distribute, and it wasn't going to be good. And I told them, and I was like, well, I've already made the video and it's already on Patreon, so it's about to go live. And they were like, oh, that's going to suck for us. And they weren't, I want to be clear that they weren't telling me not to publish anything, but I think that they probably would have appreciated me not mentioning where I got the speakers from. So I wound up editing that part out to kind of save them. But I'm not sure that they're going to send me anything else. And that sucks because there's a couple brands that they carry that I was really excited to get. There's other brands that I have had no problems getting stuff from. It just takes some effort, and I really have to nag at them, and they probably just really get annoyed by me. But it seems like the well has temporarily dried up for what I'm able to get in from manufacturers. Sometimes that's just a thing. Like in my experience, it seems like some manufacturers, they only have so many speakers that they're willing to allot to go to a review. And it makes sense. Like if you've got a limited inventory of something that's popular, then you're not going to send out something that can make you money to somebody that's going to review it, even because it's already selling. So I get that. Like it makes sense. I take no offense to that, and that's fine. It's the other ones that I'm like, dude, just like you've got a bajillion of these, just go pull one off a shelf, So what I've thought about doing is lately I've actually bought a couple speakers myself, and then I've sold them locally at a loss. I'm not going to keep doing that. I'm just not. If you want to drop ship something to me, and me test it and then me send it back when you're done, I'll do that any day of the week. Please let me know. What I would like to do, and I've considered doing this, is to reach out to manufacturers and just be like, look, I know you offer accommodation pricing of 20, 30, 40, 50%, whatever it is that you offer. Can I just buy this thing from you at this discounted rate? And then I'll test it, and then I'll just sell it and get rid of it. And that way I don't take a loss. I actually did that with Matasound. Matasound was really great to work with. When I was testing drive units, Matasound speakerstore.com. I just reached out to them and I said, can I get your dealer price? Because I'm testing a lot of these and I'm selling them at a loss. I'm testing these 6.5-inch woofers that are ScanSpeak that are $200 or $300 each. And I'm buying a pair. So could I get your dealer pricing? And without question, it was like, yeah, sure. So they hooked me up with dealer pricing. So if I want something from Matasound, I can just order it through them. Now it depends on what it is, but it's often not a huge discount, but it's enough to where I can get it in, I can test it, and then I can sell it. And instead of losing, let's say $100, I might lose $50. If I could get something like that with a manufacturer, that would be great. Or better yet, if somebody from like Crutchfield. I have a good thing going with Audio Advice, but there's brands that they don't carry. So somebody like Crutchfield or Sweetwater or is it Sound on Sound, I believe, that carry these other brands that I don't really have access to, if they would be willing to reach out to me and say, yeah, dude, we'll let you buy it for our price or our price plus, 10%, or we'll let you review it for a restocking fee and you can send it back to us or something. Like, I don't mind paying a surcharge as long as I'm not losing $500 for speakers. Because guys, this channel doesn't make that kind of money. If it did, I would gladly do that. Like Linus Tech Tips, they go out and buy stuff. Maybe they don't buy everything, but they go out and buy stuff. There's a couple other channels that I watch who have millions of subs or hundreds of thousands of subs, and they can afford to go out and buy something, whatever it is, a new car part or whatever, and review that. And then they can probably just toss it because that video is going to make up that cost anyway, and they can write it off. And that's the other thing. People say, well, why don't you just write it off? Guys, it's not 100%. I don't know if you're a tax person or not, but if I buy a set of speakers for $5,000 and I review them and then I sell them for $4,000, that's still $1,000 out of my pocket. And if I write off that loss, I might be able to write off 25%. So now it's $750 out of my pocket. And that's kind of where I'm at with reviews right now. Is I'm kind of just taking what I can get. I'm hoping that I can work with retailers because I would rather work with a retailer than with a manufacturer directly, just to kind of keep that separation to some degree. I don't think that there's a lot of funny business going on in the industry, not when it comes to a relationship between manufacturers and reviewers. There is some funny stuff going on, but I don't think that that's it. But that's where I would like to be. So if you're a dealer or a manufacturer, please reach out to me. My email, hardisj@gmail.com. Okay, that would be cool. Oh, I already got you, Steve. I appreciate that, man. That was Ron again. Whoa. Did I miss anybody? I'm checking super chats. Hey, $3, dude. I appreciate that. From Dear SX. Hi, SBS Micro, 3000 Micro. How do I tune them to match Linton? Woof. So the cool thing about SBS is it has the app that you can use, and you can use equalization. Pay attention to that first of all. With the Lintons, let's see here. I still don't have this stinking keyboard working, even though it's hooked directly up to a USB now. What a time. The Lintons have, I think, probably like if you're going to use a subwoofer, depending on how loud you're listening, I would say let the SBS come in at like 80 hertz or maybe even 100 hertz, because below about maybe 40 to 50 hertz, the SBS doesn't have as much output capability. It's more like a mid bass driver at higher output volumes. At lower output volumes, it has DSP to extend the low frequency, and that's fine. But I would probably try to cross over somewhere between like 80 to 100 hertz, because that makes more sense to me with that particular subwoofer. And listen in your room. If you have an iPhone or an Android, go download an RTA app, play back over your system, pink noise, measure the noise with your phone, because it's good enough with the phone for bass frequencies. It doesn't have to be a $100 mini DSP U mic. It doesn't have to be a $500 Earthworks microphone. The phone is good enough at low mid bass to subwoofer frequencies, because it doesn't have to be directional. Bass is so broad, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're holding it right here. I mean, it'll change a little bit, but mostly it doesn't matter. Just hold the phone up in your seated position, measure the response with pink noise, and then use the app on SBS and go through and dial the levels down. Set the time alignment by using a tape measure. That's just the easiest way to do it. Dial the levels down to match up, to your Lintons. Keep in mind that you're going to want like a kind of a curved response in the room. You don't want flat in the room. You want kind of like a slowly tipping response in the room. And then any speaker or any spikes that you have in response, like peaks, maybe you'll have a peak at like 60 hertz. That'd be like a room mode issue. Use one of the 3 bands of EQ and bring that down. And basically, you're just trying to make a smooth response from, if you get 40 hertz to 20 kilohertz, that's probably good enough for that subwoofer. But that's what I would recommend doing. And thank you for the super chat. $5 super chat from Adam52. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Recommendation for passive bookshelves, an 18-foot recreational living room, and hear well in the kitchen. Bang for buck, $1 to $2K, half subs. Good. Don't listen too loud, won't clear sound. Hear well in the kitchen. Go with the coaxial speaker. I don't know if you saw my recent video about a comparison between a couple different speakers. Excuse me. Let me go find it just to show you what it looks like real fast. No, dummy. Yeah. Okay. This one, this high-end shootout, what I do is I talk in here about directivity, vertical directivity and horizontal directivity. So this is the vertical of a 3-way speaker. And this notch right here, so all this dark red is the dominant sound. That's the highest sound pressure level. And these are angles. So this is the tweeter line, and this is 50 degrees above the tweeter, 100 degrees, basically standing like right above the tweeter, right? 90 degrees is the top of the tweeter up here. You want a coaxial speaker, because what you'll get from a coaxial will be something closer to this, where it's more even throughout all the way to the higher frequencies. And that way the sound is very similar when you're sitting in front of the speaker or you're standing up. That would be my recommendation for what you're talking about. And you said 1 to 2K range, and you have a subwoofer. So seriously, something like the KEF R3 Meta. Those are great sounding, super neutral speaker. And they're $2,200 a pair. Uh, Maybe if you find them on sale, you can get them. The LS50 is another really good recommendation. The only thing about the LS50 is it has a little bit of a notch in like the 1 to 2K area that personally I'm like, I don't want that there. I want that like more even because that notch kind of has like a little bit of a laid back sound. If you like that, that's fine. But personally, I don't like that notch. If you want to save money, you can go with something like the KEF Q350, or maybe if you can find a used pair or an old pair in stock of the KEF R3, the non-meta, maybe that would be an option as well, especially with equalization. But since you've got subwoofers, man, that frees you up to do a lot. Again, I would focus on probably KEF coaxial speakers. And if you don't mind, I have affiliate links to Crutchfield Audio Advice, Amazon. So if you happen to buy any of those, if you don't mind, I would appreciate using any of those just generic affiliate links. That would help me out, and I would very much appreciate it. Let's see here. Have you reviewed, tested any RBH sound speakers before? No, I haven't. I've actually heard them at Don Dunn, who is a really super cool guy. What's up, Don? If you happen to watch this, Don is a super cool dude. I heard him at his house. He had some monitors up in his house. And did he have them in his living room too? I may have heard them in his living room. I think they were just ridiculous speakers, but I haven't listened to them in my own space and I haven't tested them in my own space. Appreciate the behind the scenes info too. So many viewers don't understand that just because you have a channel doesn't mean you're pulling in money. Absolutely, man. Yeah. I mean, so like when I started this channel, here's the deal. I thought I was going to come in like just a bull in a china shop. I was going to tell everybody, this is how you're supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. But then like that, number one, that's not me. I'm pretty laid back most of the time. I get annoyed by stupid stuff, but it's like, if it's within my control, then that's on my end. And if it's out of my control, then that's on their end and I can't deal with that. So any stupid stuff that I want to get mad at would have to be the stupid stuff that I do. Okay. That's a life lesson. Through a lot of therapy, mind you. Where was I going with that? Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to do affiliate links and I'm not going to do blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to do blah, blah, blah. But there's a phrase that if you're good at doing something, don't do it for free. I've been doing this stuff for so long now that I thought, it can't hurt. It doesn't make me a bad person if I want to try to make a little bit of money off of doing what I love. My thing is, as long as I'm just clear about what I'm doing, if a manufacturer sends me a speaker to review, I say, manufacturer sent me this to review. If a manufacturer tells me to keep it afterward, I tell you, manufacturer told me I could keep it afterward. Like the Swiss Sonic speakers that I've reviewed recently, they told me I could keep them. I'd already reviewed them. It didn't matter. And the data is the data. Like that's the good thing about all this stuff is that you can listen to what I say, or you can just look at the data. If you don't believe me, you've got the data and you can ignore everything I'm saying. That's cool. But when it comes to, making an actual living on here, I have a really good day job and this has been a hobby of mine for well over 15 years. I just love this stuff. I'm passionate about it. If I can make a little bit of side money to help pay for a vacation or pay for supper or pay for a little bit of extra Christmas stuff or, just that kind of stuff, great, cool. Doesn't make me an evil person. But again, as long as I feel like I'm just transparent about what I'm doing and where the income is coming from, then that's all that matters. And so that's that. And if I happen to make a killing off of this, which will never happen, again, as long as I'm saying, this is what I'm doing and this is what motivates me and this is where the money comes from. So the money comes from YouTube, maybe $50 a video, Patreon, affiliate links, and no manufacturer's ever paid me for reviewing anything ever. And that will never happen. I will never publish a review that I've been paid for. So if a manufacturer reaches out to me and they say, will you test so-and-so speaker for me? This happened recently. I said, hold on, are you talking about a test or are you talking about a review? Because they're two separate things. I'm not going to test something for you and you're going to pay me money to figure out this one specific metric for you and then me go and review it. So don't expect that. I want to keep that separated. And they were like, no, yeah, like test it. And I'm like, all right, cool. It's not going to be published then. So yeah, that's where that happens. Let's see here. Okay, close that out. $4.99 super chat. Thanks, sir. Came for the review, staying for the synonym slam poetry. That's right. Oh man. I mean, I wish I thought about that years ago. Hulk thing, $5 super chat. Thank you. Hello, is it okay to mix two SVS PB16 Ultra with two PC 4000 with a? Yeah, dude, mix and match. I don't think there's anything wrong with mixing and matching subwoofers. as long as you're very attuned to what they are doing in your room. So in your case, will this other subwoofer drown them out? Well, it certainly can, but it can the other you could look at it the other way where the other two are supplementing the PB16s. And what I mean by that is when you have multiple subwoofers in a room, it's not just about level of output. The main thing you're trying to do is smooth out the response for various seats. Like if you have a home theater seat system and you've got multiple seats in your room, one subwoofer will sound great at one seat, but you move to the next seat or the next seat and it's going to sound like trash because you've calibrated the room for maybe just that one seat, or maybe you try to get it, somewhat even for all seats, but it's not going to sound nearly as good as if you have maybe 2, 3, or 4 subwoofers in multiple positions in the room placed appropriately. So that's the other thing is you can't just put like subwoofers willy-nilly. You really should take the time to use a microphone, measure the response in the room using REW. Or like I said, if you just want to use your phone even, you could do that. Just make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing when you're using your phone. And measure the response in the room. And I would recommend, even if you can, buy a couple of those little dollies, and they're maybe like $5 at the moving stores or maybe $10. I know you don't want to spend an extra $40, but it will help you not to break your back. But you put it on like some little caster wheels or something, a little dolly, or you can make your own, whatever. And then you can slide them around in the room and you can position them. And if it's possible, even setting subwoofers off the ground a couple feet, that helps as well. You're really just trying to balance out the issues with the room combined with the subwoofers. And in some ways, you really could consider the subwoofers, the multiple subwoofers, as equalization. For example, let's say that you have one subwoofer. I'm going to give you the easy one subwoofer, and then you add another subwoofer. Well, if it's in a perfect world, you get 6 decibels of output. It's never perfect. You're going to get comb filtering and things like that, but 6 decibels of output would be perfect. If you take that one subwoofer and you flip the polarity, now you've got nothing. You feel like they basically canceled out. That would be the theoretical perfect ideal situation. Maybe not ideal that's canceled out, but that's like in the theoretical perfect situation. They combine completely or they don't combine completely and they cancel each other out. So that's one way you consider like kind of like equalization, right? Like you can help all the frequencies or you can help none of the frequencies. But then there's the in between where you move it somewhere else in the room. Okay, you had a 60 hertz dip for this subwoofer, and now this subwoofer that's in the back is helping to fill that in, right? Or you had a peak at one frequency at 50 hertz, and now this other subwoofer is actually canceling that out and it's bringing it down. But that's kind of a good thing because now what you've got is you don't have seat dependency for your home theater. Now you've got independency. Wow, what a fancy word. Between different seats. And that will have a better overall sound for those multiple seated positions. And even though nobody's ever going to do it, if you really took the time to situate the subwoofers the best you possibly could, you actually could, and I've done it, you actually can wind up with a system that has better response on the low end with multiple subwoofers situated appropriately than you do with a single subwoofer with equalization for one seat. So, and I'm not even saying like for all 3 seats, like it works better. I'm saying for one seat, you could have all the equalization you want and, try to fine tune it and adjust the phase and throw all pass filters at stuff and just do whatever you want to do with it. But another subwoofer could act as equalization. And that's actually kind of the premise, not fully, that Dirac ART, active room treatment, I guess is what they call it, or something like that, where they're using other speakers to actively cancel or boost or fill in nulls from another speaker. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. But anyway, to answer your direct question, will it drown them out? It can if you let it, but I would consider the others as supplemental rather than the PB16s as something that would drown the PC4000s out. I would consider the PC4000s a supplemental subwoofer to help fill in some gaps. I know I'm missing some comments in here and I apologize, but I've been at this for almost 2 hours and I probably need to kind of jet. I don't need anything. Just wanted to give you money as a thanks for the work you do. Cheers. Static Age 999. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. It's like, so when people kick over a few bucks, I even posted on Patreon the other day, because I was talking to a friend of mine. We were talking about patrons and stuff, and I was talking to Joe and Tell actually, and I was saying that to me, like, it's really cool that I have patrons who are willing to give me like $5 a month, because I don't take that lightly. I really don't. The assistance and the help that I get, you know, like, that means a lot to me, and I really do appreciate that. Coming off of your hard-earned money for somebody you don't know, like that that's just really cool, and I really do appreciate that. And I hope you guys like really believe me when I say that. I don't take that lightly at all. Hurt driver, 9.99 super chat. I appreciate that. I've got at least 9.99 worth of knowledge from your channel. Keep up the good work, dude. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate that, man. That's cool. Let's see here. Oh, did I miss anything? I don't think so. I think I got them all. I know I missed some of your questions. Let me roll back up here. This chat thing is lit up. Let's see here. Oh, it would be interesting to see that data set on a set of speakers with and without being bunged down. Bunged? Porthole bung. TP from a bungaleo. Terrible. Yeah, I've actually got those KEF towers that I reviewed, the R5 Meta towers. I tested them ported, and then I just did a ported versus sealed sweep, so I can do a comparison and see what the low end does. That'd be kind of neat. Hi, Aaron. I saw your best of 2022 a while ago. I was curious about where you put the SH50 or Hyperion in the list. Excuse me. Since you were amazed by it, and yeah, it's point source. Yeah. So the only thing is that, like, I don't have any data on the Hyperion. Maybe one day I could. I don't know. The SH50 to me, like, it needs bass, and it's too large for a home. For some people actually have in their home, but it's too large for a standard home, I would say. So that's probably why I didn't really put them on the list. Actually, the Hyperion and the SH50 were 2022. Is that right? Yeah. If you maybe the best of 2023. I don't know if I did a best of 2022, but that would be why. Let's see here. Have you had a speaker that had such a great X factor and it wows you so much and you think it really punches above their price bracket? I'm sure I have. Seems like I just reviewed one. It's tough to remember all the things that I've reviewed. So give me a second. Let me try to think here. Or maybe even go to my website and just check while I'm thinking about it. I know what was it? The Ascend acoustic stuff. I mean, that's really good speakers. Kali Audio does a really great job as well with their speakers, and they're very well priced. But those are the only ones that I can think of off the top that I feel like really punch above their price bracket. I mean, listen, I could be like, oh, the Sony SS-CS5 bookshelf speaker is so much better than the KEF LS50, but that's bullshit. Like, we all know that. It's just something to get you to buy some bull crap. And I don't appreciate that. I just that stuff annoys me when people say stuff like that. Like, no, it doesn't. There may be things that you like about it, but it's definitely not better than this other speaker, right? The Sony SS5 is definitely not better than the KEF LS50 Meta. Like, it's just not. Like, come on. So, let's see. What else do we got here? Oh, the Wharfdale 12.1 speaker. I reviewed that about a year and a half ago, and that was a pretty cool speaker. I think the Wharfdale stuff really just impresses me, period. I mean, I've just really been impressed by, and I hope to get the Dovedale speakers in to review as well. So I reached out to Peter Como. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I may be wrong, and I apologize if I'm incorrect, about testing those. And then MoFi Distribution, who distributes Wharfdale. And when I asked, there was a reason. Maybe they're out with a reviewer or something right now, but I didn't get a no. So I'm going to try again, and maybe I can get some more of their stuff. Personally, what I would like to review, somebody just emailed me the other day about some DIY speakers. They said, if I build them, would you test them? There's a ScanSpeak B1371 or something like that. I can't type, but that's a DIY design that's pretty cool. And then the Linkwitz is it LX251, 1521, something like that. The other, I can't remember the model number now, but it's the big boy Linkwitz open baffle speaker that I would really like to play around with. The thing is dope. Okay. Would KEF R3 Metas be good in a home theater setting? Yep. Just use a subwoofer. Yeah. Cool thing about those is they have very wide dispersion. So you sit off to the side, 50 degrees, above them 50 degrees, like you're good. You just have to watch the output volume on the low end. That's why I say use a subwoofer and you'll be fine. Quant Agilum for 600 get you a good amount, not top end AP performance, but pretty good. Yeah, I actually have the QA 402 or the 403, but for whatever reason, it's just not working. I don't quite understand why, but goat. I can't do it. All right, I'm gonna end it with this goat story. So if you don't care about goats, you can just go ahead and check out now. But here's my goat story. As some of you know, I rode BMX for years, and I actually took it up again recently and then injured my back. And I was like, maybe I just need to stop. And who knows? Maybe I'll do something stupid and pick it up again. But anyway, I used to ride BMX. When I was about 14, 15, my dad ordered a truckload of dirt for me. And oh, hold on. I got a super chat. So before I finish the story, let me thank you for the super chat. How large speaker can you test with clippable rig? Right now, 44 inches tall. When I move, hopefully a little bit taller. Okay. Let me come back to the goat. Okay. So the goat story. My dad ordered a truckload of dirt for me, and me and my friends built a tabletop jump, which is basically a double, but a double is like a ramp and a landing. But a tabletop is a ramp and basically a deck and then a landing. It was all made of dirt. And we used to ride in my backyard all the time. My neighbors had goats, and the goats fart all the time. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but goats fart all the freaking time. Like, and it's very annoying. So we're out there filming our latest tricks, our one-footed X-ups and our cans and stuff like that. Tabletops, we wanted to be tabletops. They're garbage, but they were like, laid over. We want to see how good we are, right? So we take the videotape out, we go inside, and we're watching this video back. And all you hear, because the video camera was by the fence, by the neighbor's fence, all you hear is, and then every once in a while you hear one of us go, yeah, and then you'll have like a chain rattling or something because we never kept our wheels or our chains tight. But yeah, the majority of the time, all you heard was just goat farts, and it's super sad and super embarrassing, but it makes for a funny story 30 years removed. So anyway, I'm out. I will talk to you all later, and I hope you have a good day. Take care. Peace.